welcome back to Thomas Goes Nostalgic. This is part 2 of our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle diorama series. So on my last video, I worked on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sewer lair, and that's where I gave them a place to live, train to be ninjas, and just eat pizza. So that's a good place for all the good guys, but the villains really needed their own place. So that's what inspired me to start working on my next project, which would be the Technodrome. So we have a lot of figures here. A great space for them to be is in their own element. That's the villain's lair from the old show and just in Turtles lore. So I thought, what better project to work on next than that Technodrome? So when I was building this, I pulled from 3 different inspirations. I pulled from the 1987 cartoon. I looked at some stills from the show, pulled some pieces of what it looked like, of what I wanted to work on. That was a great inspiration. My second inspiration was the original Playmates playset, which was a big Technodrome playset that rolled. You can open it up. It looked like a Death Star on tank treads with a giant eyeball on top. Had a lot of great memories playing with that. Stole some elements from there. And then the third item that I took some inspiration from was the Mini Mutants playset. Now these were a line that were out back in the mid-90s, and they were in that style of Mighty Max or Polly Pocket. It was a turtle on the outside, and then when you opened it, it had a playset on the inside. This one in particular had the Technodrome, and it came with a bunch of mini figures. I'll show that in a second so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. But we have some big figures here. That's what I always liked about the Ninja Turtle villains. They were always bigger and more imposing than the Turtles. Kind of made it seem like it was more of an underdog fight, and I love that. So we have the Triceratons, big hulking figures and their big tails. They take up a lot of space, so it'll be great to get them into their own area. And we have Dragon Granitor with Krang in his android walker. And then we have Shredder leading the gang of Bebop, Rocksteady, Krang in his android body. And the biggest NECA villain that we have, or biggest figure that we have, is Chrome Dome. So I'm going to walk through some of the steps of what I did to build this diorama, and then we'll get them on there and see how they look.
So this is the Mini Mutants playset, just kind of showing it off to show some of the inspiration that I wanted to use in this diorama. I like the purple and blue color scheme, so that will be heavily in this diorama when it comes to painting. And there's just a few cool plate features. I love this experiment or torture table, so I will incorporate that into the build. Then if you see some of the wiring, it was multicolored, but I think I'm just going to make it one flat color, a metallic blue of some sort. But just a cool playset that I've had as a kid, so I think this would be really cool just to make sure that I infuse it into the diorama build that I'm about to do. So when cutting the foam for the base of this diorama, I was really trying to maximize space. So I started off with 1-inch foam, but then I switched to 1/2 inch. I figured this would give me an extra 1.5 inches of diorama, and I figured it would just be easier to fit to the shelf. So after the foam was cut, I started scoring some lines. So lots of straight lines. There was that circle in the middle. Then I started making like that main frame piece in the back with a light. Added the frame for what their viewfinder or their screen would be, and then added those spheres at the bottom, which were ornament balls. I started building the air duct vent as well. That will be magnetized to the side of that wall on the right. So I'm just going to add some more panels to that, and it looked pretty good on the wall. I scored those lines deeper, highlighted them with some black marker just so I could really dig them in. Once it was time for priming, I went ahead and started that. Can't really see, but on the right, I used some wall putty and I just textured the walls just so it would look like the rock formation. And then I started applying the metallic paint. This did take a few coats. I did tape up the project so that some of the lines on the floor would be nice and straight, especially with that darker blue. And then from there, I just started to make smaller pieces. So like the props, I worked on the side walls, where you can see I just cut some random shapes into some project foam and glued them on. So that would be the exterior of the Technodrome. And you can see I added the blue light for that mechanism in the back, that mainframe computer. You can start seeing the brown on the other side, which would be the exterior of the Technodrome. And this was just some of the inspiration I pulled from that Mini Mutants playset, so I really wanted like a experimentation table or a torture table. One of the final things I did was just add some piping at the top, and it's not exactly screen accurate, but I just wanted to add some color. And I added a picture just for the viewing screen. It could be whatever you want, but I printed that picture for now, and we'll go ahead and put a different picture in if I feel like it.
And here we are. Right now we are ready for assembly. I think I'm pretty much done with this dial. I can probably add more things to it when we go along, but I just wanted to kind of give a little rundown of how I put this all together. So I'm starting off with my base. I have magnets pretty much all over, going down where the walls will go, on the sides, on this back wall, and then it'll all connect pretty well. So let's start. So I have the base here. You can see this is kind of outside the Technodrome where it's more of a rock terrain, and then inside it's a lot of metallic paint, so very shiny. I like the way the light reflects off of this, pretty cool. So we'll take the back piece. So this is a pretty long piece of foam. What I like about it is that I have this rock area here, which I just used some grout just to give it some of that rough terrain. And then I have the metallic on this side. This picture, I can put any picture I want on it, but right now I just went for a picture like the Shredder was watching the turtles on surveillance. So this will just magnetize right to the back, and then we'll take some of these side pieces. So this particular side piece is the outside of the Technodrome, but it's also the inside of the Technodrome. So this will just magnetize to the floor and to the back. I made a cool air duct. This was a drain for like an outdoor shower, so this is plastic, and this will magnetize. Let me put this on here. Stays pretty well. All right. This is the other side of the Technodrome, so that metallic paint. I used some felt, fabric felt, and then I spray painted it metallic silver just to kind of give it some cool texture. These are just random shapes that I cut out. There was no rhyme or reason, so I can put that over here. All the magnets work great. And then this was just the inside of a rock wall. I have the magnets here, and just the last minute idea I had, like if there was a hole in the rocks, I put a picture of the Technodrome so that if you were looking on the other side, it wasn't just rock wall, you had something else to look at. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, and that magnetizes right there. Perfect. So let's put some of the other features on. I'm not sure what function these serve, but they have these purple spheres that are at the bottom of the screen. These were ornament balls. They were clear. I just grinded the hole off, and then I spray painted these metallic purple. I wanted to make some sort of mechanism. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. These were like rubber hose rings. I'll probably add some more on there just to maybe have some buttons on there so it's not so plain. But for now, it's a good placeholder. This was also an ornament ball. That was clear. So I just kind of gave it some blue and white texture, and then I put this light underneath it so that it kind of glows from underneath. Love that. I had some extra foam, and I had a lot of these guns from the stormtroopers, the foot soldiers, and I thought just to make an easy rack so they can put all their weapons right before they go out to battle. And then this is mostly inspiration from the Mini Mutants playset. This is kind of the torture table, the experimentation table. That'll go here when Shredder's looking to mutate someone, or just, you know, maybe take away their mutations away. But overall, this is it. It slides right onto the shelf. I'll show that in a bit. But I'm pretty happy with how it came out. So let's get some of the figures on. And here we are. The Technodrome is complete. All the figures are in place. The only thing left to do is get it on the shelf underneath the sewer layer, so then the villains have their place to live and scheme. It looks great. Definitely have a little bit of room for more figures, but I can kind of play around with it. If I want figures on the street, I can move them, rearrange them. Pretty great. Love this area. I saw that there's new neutrinos coming out. This is a perfect spot for them to battle Dragon Granitor. But overall, this was a fun project to work on. I tried to work on some new skills, but came out great. And now Shredder has a place to prop speed up.